I'm Poet Curious, and you're listening to the Baby Boomtown show.
Whoa, yeah, 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 yeah.
So I'm here at the Student Union
Boom.
with Poet Curious.
Hello.
It's the first time I met you and seen you perform. I must say you're amazing and you have a way with words.
Thank you.
How long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing spoken word for probably about 7 or 8 years, but before that, like, my whole background is in hip hop. So started off as a DJ, then became a rapper, then around 2005 realised that my demographic of sort of working class but quite middle class teacher, white rapper, wasn't really something that sold. And then kind of like came off that whole thing, and
was that a painful thing to discover that, or was you like, actually I want to go on a different journey?
No, it was quite painful at the time. I think like when you're young and you're like, yeah, I want to try and live off my art. And my art is hip hop, like hip hop's my culture.
That's where your heart is.
And then you don't get to do that. There is a bit of it that's painful, but now that's like a while back. So
if we do some fishing, can we find some of your old hip hop stuff?
Yeah, you definitely can. It's all out there.
Under the same name?
Under
or?
Curious mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, the poet kind of
I'm
became
curious,
the new.
so if you're curious,
Find
check
that.
it out. So you also teach. Do you what sort of subject do you teach at senior school?
I teach art in a secondary school, in a big secondary school, one of the biggest in the country.
So someone that uses words a lot, you teach something that doesn't really require words?
Yeah, definitely. But being an English teacher's a madness. Like, I couldn't keep up with the marking.
No.
But my background's in art. Like, I studied art and media, and so like visual arts have always been like a kind of spine to everything else I do. So
do you try and incorporate your spoken word and things into the lessons to inspire the kids?
Yeah, definitely. Like in my school, we do a lot of it. And I teach at a school where I met Angry Sam, who's also performing tonight, and we were both teachers at the same time, and we brought a lot of spoken word to our school together, and now we've got loads of kids who are doing spoken word. We do the Slambassadors program, which is run by Joelle Taylor, who's like a sick poet.
Okay, what's that?
It's a program where you get a professional poet. So last year we had Deanna Roger, who's like a big name in the poetry scene, come in and tutor our kids for 2 days. They wrote new stuff, they perform it, they do a video. It goes on the Poetry Society YouTube channel. They go to a West End theatre. They get to perform in a competition at the Royal Festival. Like, it's big. Krypton Conan came up through Slambassadors originally, and some real big names in spoken word. So, yeah, I do it a lot.
Do you think then words are actually really important to help these kids kind of express themselves in a world where things are getting quite scary for teenagers out there?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot of pressure on schools at the moment to kind of shut down these like really necessary debates. The whole like prevent strategy that the government have, that's about, you know, almost like ratting on kids if they say anything extreme. And like schools should definitely be a safe space to like ask really hard questions about the world and this country's place in it. And like the school I teach in, like, we've got kids from all over the world. So we've got kids who are the victims.
Because you're North London, aren't you?
Because we're Northwest London.
Very multicultural.
Yeah, definitely. So like kids in there like naturally come to these complicated questions. So like in my school, we make a real point of like making sure, yeah, you can ask anything. Some of it will be like extreme because the world is extreme.
Do you think the government should start incorporating more spoken word and poetry into lessons and into tutorial time and stuff to help some of these kids express themselves?
I think education should. Like, my personal view on the government's role in that is the government should like step back and leave teaching to teachers like it used to do.
Because
like
they're the ones that are trained and know what they're talking about.
Yeah, like the whole. I'm also a union rep at my school, so like I get involved in the political side of it. But I think like the government come into education because they want to control it, and they know that teachers generally are the people that are going to say, yeah, let's ask these hard questions and let's talk about them really honestly. And they're like, we don't really want that. We want you to go shopping, we want you to pass your GCSEs, and we want you to not ask too many questions.
Drink your fluoride water and calm down.
Yeah, just like, yeah, do what's expected of you. And I think the teachers naturally go, yeah, we understand this adult world of like hegemony and everything being the same, but there are other things, and we're happy to talk about it with you because we want you to be happy.
Do you have any advice for anyone out there really who's got all this stuff in their head but they don't really quite know how to start, obviously pick up a pen, a paper, any guidance of where to go from that?
Yeah, I think the first thing is write. I mean, like, there's
whatever comes into your head, like
yeah,
2
whatever,
minutes,
like
just
whatever,
write.
and know that most of it is going to be like stuff that you never say out loud in front of people. But you know, within that, you find your bits and find your local spoken word night, find your local open mic. Like, it's a
So if
thing
you want to
now.
branch out from there, that's the way forward. Start performing out, see how people crowd reaction. Go
Yeah,
from there.
definitely. Like, take some risks. Like, get out there and just like say your truth, to be a little cliched about it, and you will find that there will be people that like back you, and there will be people that make you question yourself and disagree with you. And
Is there any no-nos, like controversial subjects that you personally wouldn't discuss when you're up on the stage?
me personally, no. Like, and you know, there are times when the backlash from the things that I'll talk about, you go like, wow, was this really worth doing that for? But no, I think as a poet, as someone who, yeah, it's a big ego thing. Like, there's no getting away from it. When you stand up in front of people and go, there's loads of you, but you should listen to me, you have to believe that what you're saying is worth listening to. And I think, therefore, you have to believe that what you think is worth saying. So if that leads you into a really complicated like area, like morally or legally, then that's the job you took on. So no, I don't hold back.
Do you think words should be used more in conflict solutions? So when you've got 2 teenagers, for example, at school that aren't really getting on, if they could just learn to kind of rap it out on the playground and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it'd be a better
definitely.
place.
Like, definitely. And I work with a group called Hip Hop Ed, who are like a hip hop education group. And a lot of the time, like, that's the work that we do, is looking at creative ways of solving conflict, like within some of the work that we do. There's a breakdancer whose name I forget, like a famous kind of like b-boy, who was saying that the whole concept of battling within breakdance like really allowed people who would have had a fight, who were physical people, who were able physically, who would have fought to solve their problems, who managed to find a creative way of doing that where you're like right up in someone's face, but you're not going to punch them.
A bit like capoeira style.
Yeah, definitely. You know, in the same way that capoeira is like beautiful to watch as a dance, but if you need to change those moves slightly to turn them into fighting, that stuff works.
And so you've got a book out.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the book. Is it a book full of words, poems? I mean, of words. Yeah, you open it up and music
It's
pops
like
out.
really full of words, every page.
Yeah, is it just like full of poems, or do you actually speak and direct people? Or is it more?
It's poetry, but like the book of the, I've got 2 books out, and I'll be honest, one is better than the other.
Why does
I
one-
used
if
to
you
be a
open it up, it
rapper.
actually sings at you
Yeah, it
instead,
does.
yeah?
Like it
That's
holds your
brilliant, that
hand.
is.
But I tried to put it together carefully to think about the different aspects of what I do. Like, I'm a father as well as being a teacher, so like some of my poems are about the love of my children and like the really beautiful side of humanity. And in defense of that, I think you have to like attack and stand up to the oppressive things that are going to affect your kids as well as the kids, you know, as a teacher you work with. So yeah, my books are like a kind of mishmash of that. It's politics, it's love and the beautiful side of things, and then there's a fair dose of like really directly hip hop related stuff in there, because that's, before anything
your
else,
artist.
that's my culture.
Yeah.
You know, before I'm a white male, cis heteronormative, whatever, I'm a part of the hip hop community, and so I rep that.
If you don't mind me asking, how did you get those words into the book in the first place? Did you have to go along the self-publishing route, or from your experience of doing spoken word and your name that you've gained, did a publisher take you on?
No publisher took me on. I didn't approach any publishers. Like, that's kind of my visual art side, I think, a little bit, because I do illustrations in the book as well, and I wanted that control over it. And I think self-publishing is an amazing like medium to use. I think that kind of holding on to these big institutions of publishers, not that if any come, I'm going to say no, is unnecessary if what you want to do is put your words in the public. So I made my book myself, I published it myself, I bought as many as I could afford to buy, and then when I sell
Go from
them,
there.
I use the money to buy some more. And when
Brilliant.
people stop buying them, I'll stop printing them. I'm Poet Curious, spoken word artist, hip hop for life. My book, I used to be a rapper. is available if you hit me up on my Twitter @PoetCurious, Facebook Poet Curious Degreeot. You can find it on lulu.com, but the delivery charges are ridiculous, so definitely come to me for it.